Hey guys, this is God of Politics, and welcome back to a brand new video. But before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also join the Discord that is linked down in the description. But in today's video, I'm going to be doing an alternate 2016 election prediction between Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders. Now, as you guys probably all know, in the 2016 primary, Hillary Clinton, barely eked out Bernie Sanders in the primary. And what was a very surprising primary, and the fact that it was very close, and also on the Republican side, those surprises, and that Donald Trump actually won the primary. But, these are the two, the right-wing populists and the left-wing populists who would have won this election in 2016. Now you're factoring in the fact that trends were different, the candidates are different. And so, how would this have been different than if the election was with Hillary Clinton, where Donald Trump won 306 to 232? So I'm going to be going through that election right now. So, first of all, the safe states, obviously, you have the safe states of Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Alaska, Utah, North Dakota, South Dakota, all of Nebraska except for the 2nd District, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, South Carolina. And that is going to be all of the safe states, putting Donald Trump at 125 safe electoral votes. And then for Bernie Sanders, I do believe he would win Washington, Oregon, California, as well as Hawaii, as well as Illinois, New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine's 1st District, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, D.C., which puts Bernie Sanders at 183 safe electoral votes to Donald Trump's 125 safe electoral votes. As for the likely states, the first likely state will be Arizona. This is a state that went to Donald Trump by 3.5 points in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders at this time did not have his strengths with Latino voters. He's not doing as well in the suburbs as Hillary Clinton did compared to Donald Trump. Against Donald Trump. And so that would have hurt Bernie Sanders in the state of Arizona, pushing it into the likely margin, kind of bucking some of these trends that would still have existed even with Bernie Sanders as a candidate. The next likely state is going to be the state of Georgia. Georgia is another state where you have a lot of suburban trends. Bernie Sanders would have struggled with turning out black voters. He also would have struggled in bringing over some suburban voters with his policies that are, further to the left, to some more conservative-minded but don't like Donald Trump's rhetoric. And so that would have hurt Bernie Sanders in the state of Georgia, as well as the state of North Carolina, another one of these areas with a high black population, high suburban population that Bernie Sanders would have struggled with. North Carolina probably would have gone by, 7 points, something like that, which would have been a pretty disastrous result for Donald Trump. Georgia probably would have gone by around, 8 percentage points. And then that is actually all of the likely states for Bernie Sanders. The likely states for, that's all the likely states for Donald Trump. The likely states, actually, I forgot to put Texas into the safe column. That is my bad there. Texas would be in the safe column, putting Donald Trump at 163 safe electoral votes. Texas went by 9 against Hillary Clinton, but again, Bernie Sanders would have struggled with suburban voters. He would have struggled with Latino voters, pushing that into the safe column there. The likely states for Bernie Sanders, however, he would win New Mexico by a likely margin. You would have had the Gary Johnson voters here who may not have gotten as much with Bernie Sanders as the nominee. But, New Mexico is a state that is pretty Democrat overall, and I think he would have been able to win it quite easily. Similar to New Hampshire, there's the sister state of Vermont. Bernie Sanders did very well there in the primaries both times. He does well with those white working class voters compared to Hillary Clinton did. And I think he'd be able to win New Hampshire quite easily because of that. And he'd also win Maine at large by a likely margin. We'll talk about Maine second in a second. But I do believe he would win Maine at large by a likely margin. Only a couple more points than what Hillary Clinton won it by in 2016. Getting into some of these lean margin states, the first lean margin state I do believe would be the state of Iowa. This would be a lot closer than with Hillary Clinton as the candidate. Again, Bernie Sanders does better with those rural voters, those white working class voters that either voted for Bernie Sanders and then didn't vote for Hillary Clinton or didn't vote at all in 2016. Those voters would have voted for Bernie Sanders in the state of Iowa in troves, in my opinion. And Donald Trump still would have won the state, but it would have been a lot closer, and I do believe Bernie Sanders could have made a run for his money here. Similar to Nebraska's 2nd District, again, a very suburban district that Bernie Sanders would have struggled with. The influence of white voters here would have helped Bernie Sanders more, but it would have, been hard for him to win. Similar to Florida. Florida has a lot of older voters, has a lot of Latino voters, it has a lot of, suburban areas, and Bernie Sanders could have done better with some demographics. He could have done better with some rural voters in the northern part of the state, but that wouldn't have been enough to be able to win it, and he would have lost it by, around 2 just over 2 percentage points here. And another state that is lean margin is Ohio. Donald Trump's already 259 electoral votes here, but Ohio is a state that I do believe would go by a lean margin. It went by around 8 points against Hillary Clinton, and Hillary Clinton really struggled here. And Bernie Sanders, I don't believe, would have struggled as much. He would have done better with those white working class voters, and while black turnout probably would have been even lower than what it was amongst Hillary Clinton, he could have made up for it with some of those rural voters that Hillary Clinton really struggled with. And Maine's second district, I also believe, would have gone by a lean margin and went by actually a safe margin against Hillary Clinton, just above 10 percentage points. I believe in this scenario it would have gone by around 4 to 5, which still would have been quite a big trend to the Republican column. But Bernie Sanders would have been able to win it quite a bit easier with Maine at large, winning it by a likely margin. And that is all of the lean margin states for the Republicans. For the Democrats, I do believe they would win first Colorado by a lean margin. This is a state that went by around 5.5 with Hillary Clinton as a candidate. But again, Bernie Sanders would have struggled with Latino voters. He would have struggled with black voters, and he would have struggled with suburban voters in those Colorado Springs areas, for example. And he still would have won the state, but it would have been definitely closer. Minnesota is another state he would have won by a lean margin. He would have done better in those Iron Belt areas and the legacy Dems in the north. He would have won it quite easily, in my opinion. Same thing with Michigan. He would have won quite easily, in my opinion, probably by around 3 to 4 percentage points. This was the state that Hillary Clinton struggled in the most. And, Bernie Sanders' policies did appeal to some of these people. If you look at the primary in Michigan in 2016, he well overperformed expectations. If you remember, the polls showed him down 25, 30 points. He ended up winning the state because of those white working class voters that turned out for Bernie Sanders. And that's going to be very tough for, Donald Trump to overcome, because Donald Trump did do very well with the rural voters, but Bernie Sanders did not have the same faults that Hillary Clinton had in that respect, and I do believe he would be able to capitalize on it by winning Michigan, for example. Getting into these tilt margin states is getting very close. Bernie Sanders at 229, Donald Trump at 260. First, I do believe Nevada would go tilt Republican. This is a state that, again, has a lot of Latino voters. It has more liberal voters, but Bernie Sanders has, made inroads amongst the groups in the past 4 years, so you're not really counting that. But Donald Trump, the polls actually showed Donald Trump winning in Nevada, and he ended up losing. But Nevada is a state in which, the polls have overestimated Republicans for a while, but it has a lot of Latino voters. It has a lot of, other kinds of voters in suburban areas in Clark County that Bernie Sanders would have struggled with, and it would have been very close, but I do believe he narrowly would have lost the state. And that's actually all the tilt margin states for Donald Trump. So he's at 266. Bernie Sanders has gotten the victory by getting tilt margin wins in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Virginia here. Virginia, you've got those Nova counties that wouldn't have gone as strong to Bernie Sanders, but he still would have won the state narrowly. Regardless, the trends wouldn't have been as much in play in this state. They can get more of a competitive state, but I do believe Bernie Sanders would have narrowly won it. As for Pennsylvania, again, you have a lot of these rural areas that Bernie Sanders would have done well in, and he would have struggled with black turnout, but it can be offset by the fact that he would have done better with the white working class voters. And then finally, with Wisconsin, you have a similar thing. The WOW counties, Bernie Sanders could have done marginally better in, and some of these northern counties, Bernie Sanders could have done marginally better in. And looking at the overall map here, Bernie Sanders is at 272 electoral votes. Donald Trump is at 266 electoral votes. This would be a very close election, but it would make Bernie Sanders the 45th president of the United States, and we'd be living in a very different world right now, where you'd have Bernie Sanders as the incumbent president and a Republican challenger. This would be a very different world indeed. But that is the election prediction, an alternate 2016 election prediction. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Join the Discord that is linked down in the description. And again, guys, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys later.